Well, if you're just tuning in, you have tuned in to Open Line. I'm Chuck Long here with you for the next about half hour. We are talking with one of the best legal minds in the entire state of Tennessee, Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm, answering your questions, taking those comments. When you have those legal questions you're not sure where to turn, this is a good place to do it. Kevin, we've got a lot of people on the line with us. We want to get back to them right now. And if you do have one of those questions, 737-7587, make sure you get online with us. Hiram has given us a call. Hiram, do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Good evening, Chuck. Hi, Mr. Kennedy. I have a long question I want to ask you regarding about Xfinity, Comcast Cable, AT&T Uverse, Hulu, Netflix, DirecTV, this network. I got this new one come out. It's by T-Mobile called T-Vision, and they're helping like cable. It's a cheaper version of cable, and they end April the 29th are allowed to do that to their customers. And I'll hang up and listen. Thank you. Have a good night.
So I don't know that I caught the question. I heard all of the cable situation. Did you catch it, Chuck?
Not quite the question. I think that one was going out and one was coming in.
Well, that's one of the things we all have to be sensitive to. Okay, you say, all right, I'm doing business with Comcast. Do they have a right to sell their company to someone else? And all of a sudden, you didn't even like doing business with AT&T because you had a problem. Well, usually under the contract, they put in there, they have a right to sell and buy that company. So there you go. One of the big things that I'm scared of is that we do business. Say, Chuck, you're my financial advisor, and I've been putting my money with you for years. You've got a great reputation. So you invest our money into SunTrust, and then SunTrust is bought out by Merrill Lynch, and then Merrill Lynch is bought out by Capital II, and we don't even know these people. Well, the problem is, if Capital II filed bankruptcy, you know how much we get out of all our investment accounts? Zero. So quite frankly, who is in control of your 401ks? And I even talked that over with one of the most sophisticated financial lawyers, and he said, you know, that's a real problem, Kevin. That's just like Hiram here has identified the issue. Let's discuss it. We know all that because the public is trying to get the best deal they can get. Let me say this. You don't always take the cheapest deal because why? Those people will not stand on what they say. I've got insurance companies. I would talk to you privately. If your family had them, I'd say get out because if you have a wreck, they won't pay. Well, what good is insurance? And they'll draw down on you and say, sue me, sue me. Well, you don't want that. So again, whoever we do business with, how good is their word? And you say, I'm going to go to court. Well, guess what? There's 10,000, and during the COVID, all of justice has been delayed. That's a problem. And these people understand that. So, well, sue me. I can buy at least a year and a half before I have to pay this. They work the system. You learn the system, work the system to your best interest. Thank you, Hiram, for your comments and questions.
We do appreciate it. All right, going right back to the lines right now. Michael is on the line with us. Michael, we're glad that you are watching this evening. What's your question or your comment for Kevin?
Yeah, hello, thank you. My question is a real estate question, and my father, before he passed, he deeded 1 acre of property to me and my brother. I'm trying to determine now what type of property ownership I or we have, if we have joint tenancy or if we have tenancy in common or tenants by the entirety. So I'll just listen. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's great. You're doing the lawyer skill. You talk like a lawyer. The real world is we've got to look at the deed. What did your daddy, what kind of deed did he issue you and your brother? He could have issued you a warranty deed. What is a warranty deed? He warrants against all other claims that he owns that property, absolutely. He could have issued you a quitclaim deed. What does that mean? He gave you all the rights that he had, even if there was an IRS lien, if there was a mortgage, he gave you all the rights that he had. Quitclaim, we see that among family members all the time. You use the word tenants by the entirety. It probably would not be that. Tenants by the entirety is where a husband and wife buy a house, and if one dies, all the property by operational law is vested into the spouse. It's a great deal for a husband and wife. And guess what? For people, if Chuck and I bought a piece of property together, we would take it tenants in common. What does that mean? He and I both own one half undivided, because sometimes you can't cut a house right in half. So he has a right to file a petition and say, sell the house and give me my money. I say, wait a minute, Chuck, that ain't the deal. I don't want my house sold. Chuck said, my name's on half of it, and that's what we're going to do. And you could be in the same situation. Your brother could say, I don't want to own this land, buy me out, or we're going to sell it at the courthouse steps. You have a right to do that. So go get a copy of the deed and read at the top. And if you need to talk to a lawyer privately, he can tell you what the situation is.
All right, very interesting. Michael, we're glad that you called. That was a great question, and we all learned a lot from that one. All right, right back to the lines we go. Philip, you're on the line. You're on open line. What do you have do you have a question or comment for Kevin?
I have a question for Kevin. Mr. Kevin, my wife committed suicide back a few weeks ago. And
so sorry.
What happened was I was out of town, and the police called me and said that we had taken her to the emergency room. Well, I called the emergency room, and I begged the doctor in the emergency room to not let her go while I was on my way. Well, they released her on her own. She had cut herself. That's the reason why she was in the hospital. And they released her, and 3 days later, she was dead. I'm just wondering if they broke the law by not holding her for evaluation or what, because I know if they had held her that she'd still be alive.
Well, the truth is, I am so sorry to hear of your loss. That is a devastating loss. And that, you know, in the viewing audience today, I'll guarantee you suicide has affected everyone that's listening to us. You know it, you hear it, it's reality. They say it's going up because of the pandemic. Now, the question is, did those healthcare providers deviate from the standard of care in that community? If everybody knows this person is suicidal, she's gone to the hospital, you told the healthcare professionals, and if they ignored all the warnings and sent that woman out as a result of their negligence, was there damages? Yes. Obviously, the loss of life is damages. And how do you value that? Well, then you'd put it on the mortuary tables. How long would she have lived? What was her economic value? And a person could make a claim against that hospital or healthcare provider because of that. So there's a lot of laws. You might need to talk to a lawyer. Let him research. And remember this, the law is the law. The facts are the facts. And I'll guarantee you the other side is going to have a ton of insurance lawyers saying, we did nothing wrong. Can you hear me? I already know what they're going to say. And so then they will be always maintaining we've done nothing. We've met the standard of care. If you can prove otherwise, and it gets down to a matter of proof, what were the facts? How did they know the seriousness? You maintain you told them. And if other people hurt, you've got some evidence to go forward. Again, I'm so sorry for your loss, but there's thousands listening to you. And I'm telling you, got to take the suicide very seriously. For what reason? You'll never get a second chance. You never get over it. God bless you, and I'm so sorry. Thank you for your call.
Yeah, we do thank you for your call, Philip, and we are thinking about you. We do need to take a short break, but when we return, Kevin will return with more questions and answers on Open Line. You're watching Open Line right here on News Channel 5+.